Hi, my name is Michael. I live with Billy Meier in Hinterschmidt-Rütti in Switzerland, and I want to tell you a little about Billy, the teaching, and read the contact reports to you, some of it at least, and give you some background information so you can make up your own mind. So I start with contact report number 1. First contact was on Tuesday, January the 28th, 1975 at 2:34 p.m. Semjase, you are a fearless human being. Billy, I have unlearned the anxiety and have become objective. I can confirm that Billy is a fearless human being. He is not intimidated, even though there were many attacks on his life. And he is really fearless. So he's not showing off or anything like that. He outgrew kind of fear, you could say. Semjase, I know, as we have been studying you for years. Billy, very nice. And why? Semjase, because we would like to clarify some things through you. Billy, is not someone else suitable for that? Semjase, certainly, but we've kept an eye on you because you've been preoccupied with these problems in other personalities for many thousands of years, and because you think and act in a real and honest way, and because you have already often carried out such a mission in your former lives, even though great mysteries surround this for us. Yes, Billy has had many missions also on other planets in the past, long ago, and to basically to tell the truth and to teach how we can become true human beings. What it means to be a true human being, I will talk about later more, but in general it's that you're rational, that you're logical, that you have compassion, that you learn to think properly, and through that also develop your feelings properly and act reasonably and rationally. Billy, thanks for the flowers. Semjase, no need to, because they are your own merit. There again, that's what Billy also says, as you can read on the t-shirt. You're the smith of your own destiny, or man forges his own destiny, or life is what you make it. And that is very important. So many of us feel sometimes hopeless, or that you cannot affect any change, and that is not true. We can affect change, but the main thing is that you change yourself, that you develop yourself, that you grow yourself spiritually, and that is really the key. And so it's his own merit that he is kind of in this position, and and you can, your life will be what you make of it. Billy, fine, but who are you really? Semjase, you can just call me you, like I do too. In German we have it's like a polite form like Sie. It's a more formal way of approaching someone you don't know yet, and that doesn't exist in English. So this makes a little not so much sense for English-speaking people, but when you get to know someone a little better, then you offer that person to say, hey, shall I say you? And so that's why she says you can call me you. Billy, thanks, but how? But now, who are you? Semjase, I'm called Semjase, and I come from the Pleiades. Billy, from the 7 stars. Semjase, certainly. So they knew that many will come and pretend to be in contact with people from the Pleiades, and they are actually called Plejaren, and so Semjase is a Plejaren and not a Pleiade. So since many people would come and pretend to be in contact with them, they chose this so it would be able to identify these people as liars and charlatans later on. Billy, nice trip, if I may say so. How do you accomplish that? Maybe through the hyperspace? Semjase, you often know more than we would like you to know. Billy, why? After all, I am discreet and not a chatterbox. Semjase, I know that, and that is why your knowledge is in the right place. Therefore, I and everyone else are not worried. What I wanted to say about that? Yeah, Billy can keep secrets, and this is very, very important. But it's not secrets to hide anything, or it's just we are so deceived that the knowledge we have to acquire step by step, and so it's not certain secrets are not kept to deceive us. When Billy keeps a secret, or the Plejaren keep a secret, and it's either for safety reasons or because we are not ready yet, but the overall aim is clear, and I will talk about that later in detail, and they talk about it also a lot. Billy, why did you block my way to your ship? Was it because of the film in my camera? Would it have been destroyed? He had a little film camera already and took photos of the first trip, of the first contact, and so he asked about that. And Semjase, of course, because you should at least have photo evidence. Billy, I see. So I am supposed to go public, but how am I supposed to arrange that? Semjase, you shall, and I will explain the way to you later. Billy, well then, is it not a little dangerous to leave your ship landed on the ground so openly when other human beings might pass by? Semjase, do not worry, because it is ensured that no human being can get closer than within a radius of 500 meters. Moreover, the beamship is protected by the forest and the hills against sight from afar. Billy, then I, as a human being, should be the only one involved in this meeting? Semjase, yes. And you know why. Billy, I understand, unfortunately. Unfortunate because we are not developed enough spiritually to converse with them and communicate with them. This is not in a sense that, we are so much better than you are, but this is more to understand, like, when you meet person who are really, really negative, then you after a short time you don't want to talk to them anymore and think about how do I get away or so, how can I excuse myself? And it's similar like that. And so that's why Billy has always been the only contact person, and some people were contacted with impulses and so on, but right now Billy is the only real contact person of the Plejaren, and it's gonna stay that way most likely. until he dies. Semjase, even if you regret it, there's nothing that can be changed about it, not even in the future. Billy, I already understand, my dear fellow human beings. Semjase, sure, their consciousness-based cognitions rest in wrong paths, but you have made the effort and have learned. You have found the truth in other personalities already many thousands and even millions of years ago, and have acquired the knowledge. That is why you stand out from the great mass of human beings on the earth, and that is why we have turned to you. Billy, you always say we. Does that mean that... Semjase, certainly. I told you before, you often know more than we would like. Please keep quiet about it, because the truth as it is already hard enough for the human beings. Billy, I have never possessed this knowledge, and consequently I also cannot say anything. Semjase, you can also put it that way, and I know that you will keep quiet. I know that if you were forced to speak, you would even deny everything and the whole event and would portray it as fantasy. Billy, you really know me very well. Semjase, therefore, and for many other reasons and because of determination, we have actually chosen you. But now enough of the questions and answers. Listen to me now carefully what I have to say to you. Write everything down and then tell it to the public, but differently than you did in the exercise of your mission in previous lives. Billy didn't write in previous lives. He didn't write things down, but in this life he shall write down the contact reports and other things. And he published many books and wrote many books. Billy, how am I supposed to do that? Because I have nothing here to write with. I also do not have a tape recorder or something similar. Semjase, do not worry, because you can write it down later. First, I will explain everything to you so that you have an overview. On the other hand, later it will be easier for me to get in touch with you and transmit the thoughts to you, after which you will be able to write down everything word for word. Billy, with this, are you thinking of the same form by which you also brought me here? Semjase, you are really very knowing and do us all honor. Billy, thanks. So they're talking about telepathy, of course, and that's how Semjase guided him to the places where they met in the beginning. Now Billy is always meeting in his office with them, and the contact reports are that works a little different. This contact report was maybe transmitted telepathically, but now all the others are that he sees kind of symbols and translates these into language then, which is quite complicated. But I will explain this in more detail some other time. Semjase, all right then. So listen now and only interrupt me if you really do not understand something. Semjase's explanations. First, already for a long time we have felt the urge to get in touch with a human being on the earth who wants to be helpful in honesty and very real to our task. This attempt has already been made very often, but the chosen human beings were not knowing and willing enough, and there was often also a lack of honesty and loyalty. Those whom we could have engaged in our efforts, however, were afraid and remained silent about our appearance. They claimed that they would be insulted for spirit illness and that attempts would be made through official and foolish human intrigues to destroy them and accuse them of lying. Instead, however, very many human beings seeking renown appeared, who claimed to have contact with us and even to have flown in our beamships. But they are nothing other than charlatans and deceivers who want to bask in dubious glory and capitalize on it. I have looked, we typed in Pleiades, Billy, and I in Amazon, and looked on the internet, and there are so many books about the Pleiades and people who are claiming to be in contact with the Pleiaren and so on. It's all nonsense. It's Billy is the only one, and the few others who were like in telepathic contact with them, they all died, and they never went public. So you can all forget that stuff. You can read it, of course, if you want to, sure. It's up to you, but I can assure you it's all nonsense and a waste of time, actually, to read that stuff. And these people, some might be really genuinely believing that, but it's just a belief, and they're either they are liars or they're just confused and deceiving themselves and basically believe their own lies. Then she continues, the Earth humans have entire organizations that deal with reconnaissance of our beamships, but among them all there's only very little material that is really genuine. So there she already says that reconnaissance teams do exist, and they try to capture their beamships, or what's usually known as UFOs. That is like the prime target of the military worldwide. Of course, we are not told about that, but that's the way it is. They are in possession of very many photos, which, however, depict nothing more than some lights and light phenomena of natural origin or quite deliberate counterfeits. Only very few of these photographic proofs are genuine and really show our beamships. Most of the photos are just montages or forged recordings made by deceivers and charlatans, whose names thereby became known worldwide. Their books and their writings written in this way represent also only an evil fraud for the purpose of seeking renown and charlatanry. On the other hand, however, many dare to associate us with human religion, with which we have nothing to do and also never want anything to do. Your so-called sectarians do not even shy away from this step and are themselves deceiving their fellow human beings with the belief. These infamous and tentatively primitive machinations should be stopped before the world is completely gripped by them. If the deceivers and charlatans were actually linked to us, and thus were standing or have stood in contact with us, then we would have given them the opportunity to create very clear photo evidence of our beamships. But since they are dishonest human beings, we have not given them this opportunity. As proof for this fact, we gave you the opportunity to take clear pictures of one of our beam ships. But we will also continue to give you such opportunity to create even better and clearer picture evidence. Here I show you quickly. There's that's from the first contact. Here, that are still photos Billy has. Here, these were the photos from the first contact. I will show you the photos in some other time. I will make a video about it, or several videos. And here these photos from the first contact. These here at the lower bottom were several objects that's already from a different contact. Anyway, what she said here also before she started talking about religion is this. Of course, there are genuine photos, also quite a few, but many were fakes, of course, at the time. And she's talking about photographing their beam ships. So there are lots of photos, and even though there are also lots of forgeries, there are quite a few also genuine. And yeah. Then she continues, but since they're dishonest evidence, the Earth human calls us extraterrestrials or star people, or whatever he, she likes. He, she imputes supernaturality to us and does not know us in the least. In reality, we are human beings just like the Earth humans, except that our knowledge and our essence of wisdom are far superior to theirs. So also from a technological point of view. It is true that the Earth human has taken the first very small step towards outer space flight, but that means nothing more than the first rather primitive attempts. Even though he, she has reached the moon with rockets, he, she still has not reached the outer space yet. He would also never reach it in the present form. What is needed for this is a propulsion system capable of penetrating hyperspace and causing the unending distances to collapse. Space and time are not overcome by space and time, but by the spaceless and the timeless, which means that space and time collapse in themselves and become equally directed to null time. As a result, a few fractions of a second can suffice to rush through millions of light years practically without a loss of time, because null time paralyzes space and time. Many deceivers and charlatans claim that they would be in contact with planetary human beings of your solar system, and that they have even flown with or in their beam ships. That is nothing more than a lie, as for the most part. The stars mentioned by them, and their planets are so inhospitable that human life would be impossible. Other planets, on the other hand, have long since died out of life, or they are only in the development stages. Other solar systems, however, harbor a variety of lives, not just human ones. The forms of life are diverse, human as well as animal. Also, many animal or even plant life forms have developed to highly advanced level of life. So, when people claim there was people in contact from Venus or Mars, that is all nonsense. And also from further away, there are no other contact persons or so from other civilizations or so on this planet. So the Plejaren are the only ones who are in contact with someone. And what is propagated that the US government is in contact with some extraterrestrial race and they're helping them, and I doubt that heavily, because only the scum of the galaxy would work with them, with our military. So if they are in contact with some other extraterrestrial race, I'm sure it's not a nice one. So, but most likely they're not. Far too primitive, our technology, and what would they have to gain, you know? On the other hand, you might ask, what do the Plejaren have to gain? We have common ancestors, and some of them created a lot of problems on this planet, and they try to remedy that by helping us to establish peace on this planet. So there is a connection, and there is a motive that makes sense. Other space travelers are not interested in in our primitive technology. Though there were a few instances, for example, the children in 1994 in Zimbabwe, who were like in touch proximity to some extraterrestrial being, and that usually runs down to the same message again and again, that they didn't talk to that being, but they all said that it communicated something like in thought form, and that they had the message they got was that our technology is dangerous. And yeah. So yeah. Then she continues. So there are species who have attained great knowledge and have freed themselves from their spheres of life, who travel outer space and also come to your Earth every now and then. Many of them, however, are unpleasant contemporaries and live in a certain barbarism which is often almost as bad as that of the Earth human. So that's how the Plejaren view us, as barbarians, and which we are. I mean, we kill ourselves, we can't keep peace, we exploit nature, we exploit each other. The whole society is a competitive society. Nothing based is on solidarity, on harmony, is laughed about, basically. So, and there are also unpleasant contemporaries, as she says, and so there is a danger out there. So, but it makes no sense to become hysterical about it or be afraid now. This talk was 50 years ago, and they haven't come and eaten us yet. So, as some Hollywood films imply, Venom, etc. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And but and also, whatever I say, read it for yourself. Don't believe anything I say just because I said it or so. That is the process of learning. I cannot teach you anything. You have to investigate it yourself and find out for yourself if this is true, if this makes sense. And so there, she is warning us, but we shouldn't be afraid. It doesn't help anyway. One must watch out for them because they often combat and destroy everything that gets in their way. Already often they have destroyed entire planets or forced their inhabitants into barbaric slavery. This is one of our tasks, to warn the earth human about these creatures. Let the human beings know this, because more and more the time approaches when a clash with these degenerate human creatures becomes unavoidable. Another task, also this, since the Pentagon acknowledged that extraterrestrials are, that UFOs are real. They don't say it's extraterrestrials. That comes later. They since then we can say, you don't have to be afraid to talk about this to be real. And the agenda of this threat is exaggerated and blown completely out of proportion. She warns here, but the Plejaren also make clear that they have nothing to do with this UFO stuff that is going on right now, because their ships are not visible anymore. They stopped that several decades ago already. So whenever there are sightings, these are sightings of other civilizations, and of course it must be watched what's happening, but we are never told the truth anyway. So it makes a lot more sense to read this material and what the Plejaren think and say, and investigate that, than speculating about what we are not told anyway. But I will show you some photo Billy took last year, and it shows that they have no idea what's going on in Washington. That's clueless, basically. And they have also no control at all. I mean, yeah. You will see. Yes. Above all, there's only one thing that possesses the power over life and death of every creature. This is the creation alone, who has laid out her laws over everything, laws that are irrefutable and that have eternal validity. The human being can recognize them in nature if he strives for it. So I asked Billy about that, and he said you can discover everything just by observing nature. But it's a tedious task. It takes very, very long. And our lifetimes are just way too short to learn very much. And that's why they bring the creation energy teaching, or the spirit teachings called so far, but now they're called creation energy teachings. And that is what we have to learn. And that is also the greatest protection for your for your life. Yeah. They show him the path of life and the path to the spiritual and consciousness-based greatness, which represent the human the life determination. But as the human being indulges in his religions and thus in evil, irrational teachings, his consciousness atrophies more and more and leads ultimately to a bottomless abyss. The human being may realize that a God can never assume the role of the creation or determine the destiny of the human being. A God is only a ruler and moreover a human being, who mightily exercises rule or tyranny over his fellow human beings. God is not the creation, but only a creature of her, like all creatures dependent on the creation. However, the human being chases after his religious irrational belief and claims that God is the creation herself. But he goes even further and claims that an ordinary earth human named Emmanuel, who through deliberate error is also called Jesus Christ, would be the Son of God and would be the creation herself. Different sectarians of the new time go even further and claim things that already come close to insanity. But as already mentioned, beamship deceivers and charlatans are also heading in the same direction. Quite clearly, they put out the lie to the world that we are our brothers, that we or our brothers and sisters from other parts of the outer space would come here by order of God, as angels or the like, in order to bring the earth humans the long-desired peace and the truth of religion and the protection and commands of God. This is nothing more than a well-thought-out lie of sectarians and deceivers or charlatans. Because we have never acted by such orders, and we will also never do so. The creation herself never gives commands, because she embodies the mightiest in this universe and never needs commands or religions. Religion is only a primitive machination of human beings intended for the purpose of leading, subjugating, and exploiting, to which only life that is weak in consciousness is able to succumb. Bring this truth to the light of the world and make it known to the human beings. This is another part of our task. If this does not happen, then humankind will slowly destroy itself and fall into complete darkness of consciousness. We know that you have cognizance of a secret old writing, whose originals were unfortunately destroyed because of the carelessness of our entrusted one, who was your friend and unfortunately failed in anxiety. Spread the translation of this writing, for it is the only one that is genuine in truth and contains no lie. The book she's talking about is the Talmud Emmanuel, And Isa Rashid translated it. Unfortunately, his religious beliefs were quite strong, and he failed in anxiety, as she said, that he was hiding it, and then there's in a building, and the building was destroyed on purpose, and with it this writing was destroyed. But a portion survived, or well, not the portion of the translation survived, and but that was quite erroneous. That was the first few Talmud Emmanuels that were sold, and then the Plejaren discovered that it was many mistakes in the translation, and then they helped translating it correctly to German, and that is the 5th edition of the Talmud Emmanuel. So if you want to know the real words of Emmanuel, falsely called Jesus Christ, then read the 5th edition, and it's a good read. Also, she's very clear and adamant about that all religions are erroneous teachings. And so when they talk about sectarians, it doesn't just mean that she talks about a small religious group or so. All religions are sects, and because they're dogmatic, and only the true teachings of the Buddha are not religious in a sense, because they're not dogmatic. But that is just the Hinayana teachings, which really the Buddha taught, and the later vehicles, the Mahayana and Vajrayana vehicles, they are already distortions and manipulations which the Buddha never taught. But this kind of Buddhism is not followed much anymore in the world. And so all the other religions are completely off and erroneous teachings. And as soon as you have a dogma, it's already erroneous. Because why can't you criticize or question that? Because that's the power, to have power over you, and to keep you in obedience and exploit you, instead of encouraging critical thinking. And that's such a huge obstacle on this planet, this religious beliefs, because this is the foundation for beliefs and dogmas in science, like the speed of light. Scientists who say it's impossible that anything could travel faster than the speed of light, and that's why many scientists also have a big problem that extraterrestrial races could travel here. But that is just a belief. There are particles that travel faster than the speed of light, the tachyons. Let me see, shall I read the rest? I read this. So Billy shall spread this book, and he did, and you can buy it, and maybe it's even somewhere online already. And as we know, you're also writing a book about this writing and about the real truth. It seems to us to be the most important book ever written by a human being of your earth, even though it is harsh in its language and will be met with hatred. But it finally brings the truth to the earth humans, even if there's still some speculation in it. but it is finally able to destroy the insanity of religion in many, or at least to make many very thoughtful. It is an extraordinarily good piece of work. You need to make it accessible to the human beings. For now, I have communicated everything necessary, but with that, it cannot be enough. Many more contacts will follow this first one, and I will call you at a given point in time. Yet, by way of thought transmission, which you call telepathy, I will get in contact with you and transmit more things to you. Do not fear that I will do this in an inappropriate time, but rather only when it suits you. I appreciate your manner and also your desire for independence, so I will always adjust myself to you. The time will come for you when we will meet in my beamship, and when you will then also be able to undertake flights into outer space with me. But for the time being, this is not yet possible, because it is not advisable due to certain circumstances of regrettable incidents. I don't know what she's talking about there, but long ago. But I will inform you about that in detail at a later point in time. So farewell until next time, when I will transmit further important information to you. But mainly the conversation should no longer be as one-sided like today, when I only had to give you explanations. From now on, every conversation should run quite normally, as is usual, with questions and answers. Till we meet again, and see you soon. Billy. Hi. Now, the latest contact report now is 875, and that are just the ones Billy wrote down. He had lots of other contacts telepathically, or contacts he didn't write down. So there's this is in German. There are 20 of these 500-page books, and but on the futureofmankind.co.uk website you can read all the contact reports for free, and I will put a link below in the description. And you can read it in German and in English there. And also a Spanish site is built for the Spanish-speaking people to read the contact reports for free. And there's a vast knowledge in there. It's just incredible. Even if you read it once, then you think, oh, I understood it. And then a couple of years you read it again, and then you understand a lot more. But it's only accessible if you are open-minded, in a sense that you allow critical thinking, that you're not afraid to challenge your own dogmas or strongly held beliefs, And so I was brought up as a Christian, and later I became a Buddhist. So it's a challenge, but if you are truly interested in the truth, then it's definitely worth it to give it a try. And I wish you good luck with investigating everything.